Good morning, students. Welcome to Measure Integration live lectures. In last class, we have seen what is meant by outer measure. Okay. Then we have seen the properties of outer measure. In this class, we will discuss about outer measure of an interval, and we will show that outer measure of an interval is nothing but length of that interval. Okay. So, any doubts regarding yesterday's lecture? Hmm?
No, sir.
So if you quickly recall what is meant by outer measure, if you take a subset of R, okay, then what is outer measure denoted by m star of
Yes.
A, which is nothing but infimum of sum of lengths, okay,
Then.
those
Okay.
intervals where this A is covered by those intervals, okay, and we have seen the properties. What are the properties we have seen? We have shown that m
M
star
star.
of empty set or a finite set, okay, this is 0. M star of any finite set is 0. Finite means finite set. And not only that, M star of any countable set is also 0. And also we have proved that it is translation invariant. That means M star of A plus X is same as M star of A. Okay, and we proved that it is monotone. That means M star of A is less than or equal to M star of B whenever A is subset of B. Okay,
B.
and we also proved that it is countably subadditive. That means M star of union of AIs, okay, is less than or equal to summation M star of AI. Okay, these are the properties we have seen last class. Now we will show that you can call it theorem or whatever. We show that outer measure of an interval is its length. That means M star of, that is, if I, sorry, so if I is an interval, then what we are saying is M star of I is same as length of I. Okay, so we prove this by, first we will prove the proof. First we prove that case 1, we will take I, which is a closed and bounded interval, A comma B, which is closed and bounded interval. So for this, we will show that M star of I is length of I, which is same as, so we show M star of I, what is length of I for this is B minus E, right? If I is A
Yes,
comma
sir.
B, then length of I is nothing but B minus E. So we want to show that M star of I is same as B minus E, right? Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now one
Yes,
can
sir.
observe that clearly this A comma B is contained in, can you give an open interval which contains this closed interval A comma B? Hmm? Given this closed interval A comma B, because we want some open cover, right? So can you give one open interval? Hmm? Right? You can't give an open interval containing this closed interval. If you have here, this is interval A comma B, okay, then we want an open interval, right, which contains this one. So can you give something like this? Hmm?
Open
A
interval
minus
C comma D
A comma
minus
minus epsilon by 2.
So from this you try to remove some positive value, right? So you say epsilon. Is that clear? So if I take a minus epsilon here, then definitely it is left side to this. Similarly, what I can take here? B plus
plus
epsilon, where epsilon is any positive value. Is that clear? So therefore, this is contained in a minus epsilon to b plus epsilon for any epsilon greater than 0. No matter what epsilon you take, greater than 0 is required. Is this clear? Therefore, what can you say about m star of this a comma b, which is I? This is I. So m star of I in this case is less than or equal to, because this is a covering, is less than or equal to length of this one or not? What is length of this one? B minus a plus 2 epsilon. Is this clear? Okay. Now, as this
yes
is true for any epsilon greater than 0, like yesterday what we have seen, this m star of I is less than or equal to b minus a, because epsilon can be anything. So you take epsilon small, 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 so that you can get rid of this one. Okay. As epsilon greater than 0 is arbitrary. Okay. Now we want to show that m star of I is greater than or equal to b minus a. Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
M star of I is greater than or equal to b minus a, then they are actually equal. Okay. So for that,
yes
whatever open cover you take, and what we know about this I, which is closed interval a comma b, in first semester we have seen something about this closed and bounded interval. What we know about that? Huh? Any closed and bounded interval or any closed and bounded subset of R is compact or not? What are
Yes, sir.
compact subsets
Yes.
of R? Precisely closed and bounded, right?
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
Okay, so we use that fact
yes
here,
sir
and why we require that one we'll see. So now, so suppose let this IN, okay, be an open cover for this I, which is closed interval a comma b. Okay, that is this a comma b is contained in union of IN, n is equal to 1 to infinity. Okay. Any problem?
No, sir.
So our we can use the that infimum condition. So if you take a cover for this, now since a comma b is compact subset of R, then what we know, whenever you have a open cover, then it also has a finite subcover. Is that clear? This a comma b is covered by this cover, right? And because it is compact, what you can say, every open cover has a finite subcover. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
yes
So therefore, there exists a finite subcover. You can call it I1, I2 up to Ik. That is this a comma b. Okay, or you write In. No problem. This you write as In. That is a comma b is contained in what? Union of I, k. K is from
K.
1 to n. Is that clear? Let me repeat again. So you take an open cover for this closed interval a comma b. Then because it is compact, there exists a finite subcover I1, I2, In, such that that means a comma b is contained in union of that finite cover. Okay, right? Now it is enough. So we will show that claim is that if this a comma b is whenever contained in union of ik for any n, finite n, then we'll show that the sum of lengths of this ik, k is from 1 to n, is greater than or equal to b minus a. Is statement clear what we are going to prove? Huh? If
Yes, sir.
a comma b is
Yes.
covered by these finitely many intervals, then actually we'll show that sum of this finite sum of length of this ik is greater than or equal to b minus
B
a.
minus.
Once we prove this, then what can you say about sum k is from 1 to infinity L of ik? Because length is positive. So whatever we are going to get summation from k is equal to 1 to infinity L of ik is bigger than this value. Yes or no? Huh? So if we can prove this, summation k is equal to 1 to n, L of ik is greater than or equal to b minus a, then automatically summation k is equal to 1 to infinity L of ik is also greater than or equal to b minus a. So if you take infimum, it is also greater than or equal to b minus a, which is same as m star of a comma b. Is this clear? So first main important thing is proving this one. Whenever your a comma b is covered by this finite union, then that sum is bigger than or equal to b minus a. This we will prove by mathematical induction. Okay, we prove by mathematical induction. What is meant by saying, somebody can tell what is meant by proving mathematical induction, this statement? Huh? What is meant by proving that this statement will prove by mathematical induction? At
By
least
assuming some value.
first we have to prove for n is equal to 1. Okay,
Yes, sir.
for n is equal to 1, if this is true, we want to show that this is also true. Okay, then assume for say n, then prove it for n plus 1. Is that clear? Huh? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now clearly for n is equal to 1, for n is equal to 1, the claim is true. The result is true. Why? If n is 1, then here you have only one interval. Is that clear? A comma b is
Yes, sir.
contained in I1. So obviously here right hand side you have only one. Length of this one is greater than or equal to this. So why this is true? If a comma b is contained in I1, okay, then length of this a comma b is less than or equal to length of I1. We know that. That is same as saying that length of I1, length of b minus a comma b is b minus. Is that clear? Huh? So assume for any n greater than 1. What is meant by saying that this? You assume this for n greater than 1? Hmm? Can somebody say what is meant by saying that assume this statement for any n greater than 1? Whenever some interval, okay, is contained in finitely many or n contained in union of n intervals, then sum of that lengths is greater than or equal to length of that interval. Is this clear? Now we will prove it for n plus 1. Okay, so let a comma b is contained in union of ik k is equal to 1 to n plus 1. Then what we want to show? Huh? What we want to show? In this
Summation.
case also, summation from k is equal to 1 to n plus 1, we should show it is greater than or equal to b minus a, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. Now, because b is here, the left hand side element b will be there in this closed interval. So therefore, that b is also there in this one of this interval, right? And without loss of generality, we will rename that and assume that b belongs to in plus 1. So suppose if b belongs to I2, then we will rename that another one and we will consider it as last one. That is the only thing. Okay. So without loss of generality, assume that B belongs to the last interval. Is this statement clear? If, because we are just only giving some name, I1, I2, I3 and so on. Okay, so B is there. So B is there in one of that interval. That interval we are naming it as In plus 1. If not, is there in In plus 1. Okay, rearrange and give it name and make sure that B is in In plus 1. That's all. So you are not going to lose any information if you assume this statement. Yes or no? Hmm?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Just
sir.
like if some students are sitting in some row, okay, if that student has that a particular coin B, then you rearrange their order and make sure that that student sit at the end. That is the only thing. Okay, fine. Some student voice is coming. You can mute. Okay, some disturbance is fine. Now you can see that, say let denote, because they are open intervals, so they denote In plus 1 as, say, suppose C comma D. Okay, so C comma D, and B belongs to C comma D. So let me draw that picture here. So you have, this is C and this is D, and this interval is In plus 1. Okay, and we know B is there somewhere. B is there somewhere. Okay, now if at all A is bigger than C, so it may happen that if A, okay, is bigger than C, okay, that means A is somewhere here. If A is somewhere here, say, then obviously the length of this In plus 1 is bigger than or equal to length of this B minus A or not? Huh? Then D minus C is bigger than or equal to B minus A. Is this case clear? Huh? Because this C comma D is bigger
Yes, sir.
interval,
Yes, sir.
contains, this implies, and D minus C is length of this interval, right? This implies summation length of Ik. Okay, k is from 1 to n plus 1. This length is always greater than or equal to length of In plus 1, which is bigger than or equal to B minus A, because which is equal to D minus C, but D minus C is bigger than B minus. How many of you understood this step? Length, this sum of this n plus 1 intervals is of course bigger than or equal to length of every interval in there. Is that clear? But we know length of In plus 1 is D minus C, which is bigger than or equal to B minus C. So if A is greater than C, okay, or even A is greater than or equal to C also, there is no problem. A is greater than or equal to C, then we are done. We have proved this one. Yes or no? Hmm? If A is bigger than or equal to C, then we are done. So what is left out? So assume
Ramesh.
A is strictly less than C. Okay. So again, if I draw the picture now, what is the thing? So let me draw that. So I have here, just, so let me put that picture again. Here you have, okay, and In plus 1 is C comma D. Okay, this is C and this is D. Okay, then your B, of course B is there in In plus 1, so B is somewhere here. Now A is strictly less than C, so A is somewhere here. Is diagram clear? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now we will try to use that our hypothesis. That means assume for any n greater than 1. So we will try to cover some interval. It need not be A comma B. Is contained in union of n intervals. Okay. So that one you can check. If I take this from here to A comma C. Okay, if I take closed interval a comma c, see what is this one, this much is what, c comma d, which is in plus 1. Your in plus 1 is c comma d, right? And a closed interval a comma b is
Yes.
contained in this k is from 1 to n plus 1. Okay, and this c is not there in in plus 1, and anything left to that is also not there in in plus 1. So therefore, by this picture, what you can observe, we can observe that the closed interval a comma c, if we take, this is covered by union of k is from 1 to n. Is this clear? Let me say it again. We have assumed this, let a comma b belongs, is contained in union of ik, that means union contained in union of n plus 1 intervals. Okay, now see this picture. Okay, in plus 1 is c comma d. Okay, and this a is less than c. Okay, so therefore if I take this interval a comma closed interval a comma c, because closed interval a comma b is covered by union of the n plus 1 intervals, in plus 1 intervals, but a comma c is covered by this one. Is there any element from this a comma c is in in plus 1? Whether any element from a comma c
No, sir.
is in in plus 1, that means whether in plus 1 is required, whether is it required to cover a comma c, it is not required, right?
No,
Because
sir.
clearly this in plus 1 starting from c, it is not even containing c. Is this clear? Since this
Yes,
in
sir.
plus
Yes,
1
sir.
is only containing elements after c, so to cover a comma c from a to c, you don't require in plus 1. Is this clear? Yes or no? If anyone not understanding, you tell. A comma b is closed by, a comma b is covered by n plus 1 intervals. Okay, but this in plus 1 is from c to d, so a comma c, to cover a comma c, you don't require in plus 1. Therefore, by assumption, what you can write, because this interval is covered by finitely many n intervals, that implies what you can write, we said assume for n greater than 1. That means this is true for c, a comma c or not. This statement is true for now a comma c. This implies summation length of ik, k is from 1 to n, is greater than or equal to length of that interval, which is c minus a. Is this clear? I repeat again, a comma c is
Yes.
contained in n intervals. So therefore, by assumption of mathematical induction, the sum of these lengths is greater than or equal to length of this, which is c minus a. But finally, what we want to prove? We want to show that sum of those n plus 1 intervals is greater than or equal to b minus a, right? So what is not there here? What is not there? Only length of k n plus 1 is not there. Is this clear? So we are adding
Yes,
length
sir.
of n plus 1 both sides, right? So this is same as from n plus 1 length of ik is greater than or equal to c minus a, plus what is length of in plus 1? Is d minus c, right? So this is d minus c, but this is same as d minus a. But now whether d minus a is
A.
greater than or equal to b minus a or not, you go to this picture again, where is, which is d minus a to d and a to b. This much is your, still starting from here a, and this is your d, right? Is that clear? That length is always bigger than a to b. Are you following?
B.
Because
Yes,
b
sir.
is strictly less than d, b is strictly less than d, so therefore d minus a is greater than or equal to b minus c, right? So therefore what we have proved is sum of this lengths is also greater than or equal to b minus a, Hence we can conclude that if this interval a comma b is contained in union of ik, k is from 1 to n, then what we have proved? Then we have proved that summation length of ik, k from 1 to n is always greater than or equal to b minus a, right? Therefore, right? Therefore, summation length of ik, k is from 1 to infinity, right, is greater than or equal to summation length of ik, k is from 1 to n, because this is an infinite sum, this is a finite sum. This is greater than or equal to b minus a, where for all what is this ions? They are covered for this interval a comma b, for all in such that this a comma b is contained in union of ions. Is this statement clear? That shows that now you can forget about this intermediate one. So what we are proving, what we have proved is that this is L. Length of ik is greater than or equal to b minus a, right? This is true for all ions, okay, such that this a comma b is contained in union of ion. Okay, so whenever we have taken an open cover, we have proved for this one. Therefore, if you take infimum of all such values, okay, because it is greater than or equal to this for every that, and if you take infimum also, it is true, right? Such that this a comma b is contained in union of ion, this value is also greater than or equal to b minus c. But what is this left hand side? What is this one? Is precisely m star of the closed interval a comma b is greater than or equal to. Is proof clear? Huh?
Yes.
If somebody is not understanding how we have proved it, you simply ask. So therefore, hence if I, which is a closed and bounded interval a comma b, then m star of I is b minus a, which is same as length of I. Okay, now we'll, once this is there, then remaining all not so difficult. So first important thing is proving for closed and bounded interval a comma b, outer measure is same as length. Now assume that case 2, what are all different are possible? Let I be, or instead of let saying let, suppose, okay, so suppose I is a bounded interval with finite and bounded, okay, is finite and bounded interval with endpoints a comma b. Okay, so can you give what are different types of intervals we are talking about here? That is, your I may be something like open a closed b, okay, or closed a open b, okay, or open a open b. Is this clear? Yes or no? So in all these cases, it is finite and bounded interval, okay, with endpoints a and b. In all these cases, we will show that m star of I is same as length of I. Clear? And the other case is remaining is unbounded interval.
Yes,
These are the only bounded intervals are not. Finite and bounded intervals. Remaining are unbounded intervals we'll take. Okay. How we show this is, given any such I, we'll show that. So we prove given this I, there exists a closed interval, closed and bounded interval, because interval j, okay, contained in I such that this length of I, uh, we prove, given this I, for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a closed and bounded interval j containing I such that length of I minus epsilon is less than length of j. Okay. Why we prove this one, we'll try to see and understand this statement. So what we are saying is that if this interval, say suppose a comma b, okay, is given, we want to find a smaller interval which is closed and completely contained in I such that when you subtract epsilon from that length, it is less than length of this. So you can write here less than or equal to also, it is not a problem. You can write like this. Okay, is that clear? What is this statement? Given any that finite and bounded interval, we can find a closed and bounded interval j which is contained there. Okay, such that length of I and j has this relation, right? Now how we can do it?
Yes.
So again, you see that we have to make sure these endpoints of j such a way that they are in containing a comma b. Okay, and given this epsilon, we have to find a closed interval. So for that, you take some epsilon prime. So you take, say, call it some epsilon prime as minimum of this epsilon by 2 you take, suppose, no problem, and this b minus a by 2. Okay, then take j as this a plus epsilon prime and b minus epsilon prime. Okay, so because of a plus epsilon prime, this here this is your a plus epsilon prime and this is b minus epsilon prime. Okay, you may ask, we might have taken this, what is our epsilon? Suppose you take as b minus a by 2, just like center point, then you try to remove this and you will see that it will be there. You can easily check that, and j is contained in I. Why j is contained in I? Hmm? Why j is contained in I? That means we want to show that a plus epsilon prime is greater than a, right? And b minus epsilon prime is less than b. So what can you say about a plus epsilon prime? Because epsilon prime is minimum of these two, so it is less than or equal to a plus. That means epsilon prime, at present we don't require epsilon by 2. So assume that you take epsilon prime which is smaller than b minus a by 2. Okay. So therefore epsilon prime is less than or equal to b minus a by 2. But what is this one? This is 2a plus b minus a by 2, which is same as a plus b by 2. Okay. So a plus b by 2, what can you say about this? Huh? Whether it is greater than a or not? Whether it is greater than a? In this a and b, where will be a plus b by 2? It is center or not? Huh? So a plus b by 2 is greater than a. Whether you understood this? Huh? Your a and b, a is less than b, so therefore a plus b by 2 is greater than b is greater than a. So this a plus b by 2 is greater than a plus a by 2, which is a. Are you following? Similarly, b minus epsilon by 2. Sorry, 1 second. We want to say that a plus epsilon by 2 greater than or equal to, right? Huh? So we want to show that it is less than b. So sorry, this of course that is
Sir, a
anyhow
plus
it is
b by
true
2 is greater
because
than a.
we
A
want to
plus, sir.
we want to say that it is below b. Okay, it should be left side this, because anyhow epsilon is greater than 0, so there is nothing to show it is anyhow greater than e. We want to make sure that it is less than b. Okay, so a plus b by 2 is less than b because a is less than b, right? It is 2b by 2, so therefore it is less than b. Similarly, b minus epsilon by 2, sorry, b minus epsilon prime, okay, we want to show that it is bigger than a, okay, right? So this is greater than or equal to b minus, because epsilon prime is less than or equal to this, so therefore this is less than or equal to this, which is same as 2b minus b, which is b, and therefore you get a plus b by 2. Now this a plus b by 2 is greater than a. Okay, so what we have shown is that a plus epsilon prime and b minus epsilon prime, okay, a plus epsilon prime comma b minus epsilon prime is contained in this a comma b, right? Is that clear? Yes or no? That shows that this j is contained in
Yes, sir.
I. So instead of writing here a comma b, we can write I, because we don't know whether I is open interval or semi open closed interval. Okay, but we have shown this one that shows that it is here. Now what can you say about length of I or length of j? This length of j and length of I minus epsilon. Length of I minus epsilon, because we want to show that this is less than or equal to length of j, but length of I with end points, that is same as b minus a minus epsilon, okay, which is less than or equal to, because your epsilon prime is less than or equal to epsilon by 2, right? Your epsilon prime is less than or equal to epsilon by 2, so your 2 is this. That shows that your minus, if you take minus both sides, what you get here is minus epsilon prime is less than or equal to minus 2 epsilon. So therefore this is same as b minus a minus 2 epsilon prime, okay, but that is nothing but length of this g. This is nothing but length of g, okay. So therefore we have proved that length of I minus epsilon is less than or equal to length of j. Now once we have this one, then by case 1 this length of j is same as what? Since j is
Then
closed and bounded interval, j is closed and bounded interval, length of j is same as m star of g, right? Are you following? This implies
yes.
length of I minus epsilon is less than or equal to, in place of length of j, we can write m star of j, okay, and m star, last class we have proved that it is monotone. That means if j is contained in I, what can you say about m star of j is less than or equal to m star of I, right? But I is, if you take I closure, I bar, then this is less than or equal to m star of I bar. But we know that I bar is a closed and bounded interval because I is a bounded interval with endpoints, right? So what we have used here is I is contained in I bar. Is this statement clear? But I bar is closed, because of I bar is closed, so therefore this is same as what? Length of I bar. Are you following? For any closed and bounded interval, m star is same as its length, right? But length of I bar is same as length of I. Why? With endpoints, whether it is open or closed, length is same. This implies what we have shown. Length of I minus epsilon is less than or equal to m star of I, okay, which is less than or equal to L of I, but L of I is strictly less than L of I plus epsilon, okay. So you can see here now what you have proved is length of I is less than or equal to m star of I, okay, is less than length of I plus epsilon. This is same as saying that when you take the absolute value, right? Hello, hello.
Sir, screen
Huh.
disappear. Yes, sir.
So 1 second. So where you have written here. So therefore this is plus epsilon. This is same as saying that absolute value of length of I minus m star of I, okay, is
Sir,
less than,
screen disappear.
huh? Hello,
Screen disappear.
sorry.
Screen disappear, sir. Yes, sir.
1 second. So maybe it might, I might have disconnected. I'll share again. Can you see now? Can you
Yes,
see?
sir.
Okay. Ah. So because L of I minus epsilon is less than or equal to m star of I, which is less than Li plus epsilon, that shows that modulus of Li minus m star of I is less than epsilon. Now again, as epsilon is arbitrary, so we can take however small it may be. What you get is, this is the greater than or equal to 0 and it is less than epsilon, means it has to be 0. That means L of I should minus m star of I should be equal to 0. That shows that m star of I is same as length of I. Right? Is second case clear? Huh? Given any bounded interval with endpoints a comma b, we have found some closed interval which is contained there and satisfying this property, and then simplifying this one using m star of j is m star of length of j and so on, we get this simplification. And the last case, this other only case remaining is, let me take another case 3. What is that? Suppose this I is only remaining is unbounded interval. We have seen all bounded cases are not. Hmm? Closed, open, semi-closed, semi-open. Now only case remaining is if your interval is unbounded interval. Okay, suppose I is an unbounded interval. Right? In this case also we want to show that the what is the length of an unbounded interval? Hmm? What is length of an unbounded interval? Infinity or not? Hmm? Because if length is finite, we say it is a bounded interval, right? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, we want to show that m star of I is also infinite. Okay? Yes or no?
Yes.
So we are going to show
Yes,
that
sir.
m star of I. So we'll claim that in this case, m star of I is infinite. That is same as length of I, right? Okay. How we'll show is, you can observe that again we will try to find some closed interval, okay, and such that it is contained there. And if you draw, suppose you assume that this is something like a to infinity, okay, right, a to infinity, then can you give some interval, closed and closed interval, hmm, which is contained here? Simply you take any n, then a plus n you take, okay, and I can say suppose a plus 2n. This is a closed interval containing this I or not? Huh? This is j, and if I call it this much is our I, then j is contained in I. So what you can understand is, then for any natural number n greater than, okay, or n greater than or equal to 1, what you can observe is that there exists a closed and bounded interval j contained in I, such that length of this j, what is this length of this j? In this case, a plus n comma a plus 2n is n. Are you following? That means if I say suppose 2, then I can find a closed and bounded interval whose length is 2 and which is contained in that interval I. Are you following? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because of it is unbounded interval, we can always choose, that is not a problem. If it is of the form minus infinity to a, then also you can find answer. Okay, fine. Then if it is minus infinity to a, you have to find minus a minus n comma a minus 2n and so on. Okay, a minus 2n comma a minus n. If it is a to infinity, a plus n and a plus 2n, if that is minus infinity to a, then you find a minus 2n comma a minus n. Okay, fine. Therefore, J is contained in I such that length of J is equal to n, and J is a closed and bounded interval, right? This implies m star of J, okay, because J is contained in I, so m star of, so J is contained in I implies m star of J is less than or equal to m star of I by monotone property, right? But what is, because J is closed and bounded, m star of J is same as length of J, okay, but length of J is what? N. So m star of I is greater than or equal to n, and this is true for any n greater than 1. What is the reason here? Since m star of J is length of J, which is equal to n, right? Now as n tending to infinity, what you will get? This shows that because it is true for any n greater than or equal to 1. So if you take limit n tending to infinity, this is also less than or equal to m star of I, but that shows that this value is infinite. So your m star of I is greater than or equal to infinite. That shows that your m star of I has to be infinite. Is this clear? Okay. So even if it is an unbounded interval, we have shown that this is infinite, which is same as length of that interval. Are you following? So how we have calculated?
Yes.
It is a little bigger one. Just let me quickly recall and we'll stop here. So outer measure of any interval is its length. We are dividing into 3 cases. One is a closed and bounded interval, and the second case is bounded with endpoints a comma b, and the third one is unbounded interval. Okay. So if you take bounded interval, we want to show that m star of I is equal to b minus a. Okay. For that we have used that Henny-Borel theorem, which says that any closed and bounded subset of R is compact, so every open cover has finite subcover. We have used this, and in this case we prove that whenever a comma b is contained in such finite union, then sum of those lengths is less than greater than or equal to b minus a. This statement we will prove by mathematical induction. Okay, and once we have proved for this statement, then the second case is if it is a bounded interval with endpoints. Okay, that is I can be any one of these forms. Then what is we have found? We have found a closed and bounded interval J contained in I satisfying this condition. Okay, if you remove that epsilon from this length, it is smaller than this. Okay, that means it is almost close to J. Okay, I and J are almost close, but J is closed interval whereas I is a bounded interval. Then also we have proved. Okay, and last case is we have proved that if it is an unbounded interval, then also using the fact that there exists a closed and bounded interval contained in that, but length of that closed and bounded interval is n for given any n greater than or equal to 1. Okay, then apply this, we will get. Is this clear? Yes or no? So we'll stop here, and in
Yes.
next class we'll see what is meant by when we say some set is measurable set, when a function is measurable function, and some properties. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll see in next class.